Oh, there we go. I've got the mic on now. I forgot to put the mic on. That was a bit of a silly one there. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the race live stream. I hope you're all doing very well. I am doing great, which is good to know. So, yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. If you are, let me know in the comments down below. And I want to say welcome to the race live stream. This is going to be a fun one. This is the race which we've finally been waiting for. We had an interesting sprint race yesterday. It was a lot of fun to be streaming the sprint race with you guys. And so, yeah, I thought, you know what? We're going to do the main Grand Prix as well. And I hope this is going to be as good as yesterday was. I hope that we're going to have a lot of fun today. I think it is going to be a lot of fun today. We've got so much to actually digest and watch today. A lot of interesting factors. Obviously, yesterday we saw that that the Ferrari was struggling with race pace, it seemed. Leclerc, of course, was faster than Max Verstappen, but he was only faster than Verstappen due to the fact that Verstappen had an incident with George Russell early on in the race, and I think we underestimated just how much damage that incident with George Russell actually did to Verstappen. We didn't really realize until after the race that the incident actually punched a massive hole in his sidepod, and that's essentially why Verstappen was stuck behind Leclerc. But even so, even though that was the case, Verstappen was still faster than everyone. If he managed to get past Leclerc, he'd have easily beaten Leclerc in that race, despite having a huge hole in his side pod. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do today with a fully healthy Red Bull car versus the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. I think it's going to be... Yeah, I think he's probably going to get past him pretty easily today, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, I do think Verstappen is probably going to find a way past Charles Leclerc quite early on in this race. And it could be an easy victory for Max Verstappen. But, of course, it's all going to come down to what happens at the start of the race. We could have an incident at the start of the race which could change the dynamic of the entire Grand Prix. We just don't know. That's what I'm excited to find out. Is anything going to happen between Verstappen and Leclerc into turn one? What are your guys' thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Do you think anything is going to happen today between Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen at the start of the race? Are both drivers going to get their elbows out? And are we going to see an interesting incident between them? Let me know what are your thoughts in the comments. Do you think we're going to see anything like that? Let's just look at changing a couple of things here. Just changing a few things on the fly. Ooh, we got the Azerbaijan national anthem. This is an interesting take on a national anthem, I've got to be honest. So, just for those that are wondering, today, we're not going to be having, for those that are watching that don't really know what we're going to be doing today, obviously we've got the stream on, but we're not going to be having any of the race, we're not going to have anything in terms of, I don't know how to put it, but... You know, we've got the timing data. You guys have got access to the live timing for today, but we're not going to have any sound from the race. We're not going to have anything like the track map or anything like that, mainly because I will get swiped down with copyright, unfortunately. So we've got the live timing. The live timing is provided by F1 TV and on F1 Multiviewer. So for those that don't know, I'm using F1 TV to watch the race, And then I have an app called F1 Multiviewer, which if you don't have, I highly recommend you download and you get, because F1 Multiviewer is an incredible piece of software, which means that you've got access to this sort of live timing that you can see. We've got access to the track maps. I also have access to multiple onboards at the same time. So if you haven't got F1 Multiviewer, do yourself a favor, go check it out, because it is well worth you not even buying, it's a free software. It's well worth you getting. Yeah, that's an interesting national anthem. Yeah, that was good. That was good. It's one of the better national anthems, actually, that we normally have. Normally, they're a little bit cringy, but that wasn't too bad, actually. A nice little melody, let's say. I think we might see something between the two, Seb Vettel says. I'm assuming that's between Verstappen and Leclerc. I hope we don't. I hope it's a clean race, but yeah, there's definitely a chance that there's going to be some sort of incident between Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen in today's race. And if it is, it's going to be at the start of the race, and it's probably going to be like one driver sending it down the inside on the other. And I think it's really the only way that I think anyone can stop Verstappen today is to maybe get their elbows out with him at the start of the race. Because if they don't get their elbows out with him at the start of the race, then they are probably going to be stuck behind him. Because Verstappen was faster than everybody except Sergio Perez yesterday, and yet Verstappen had a huge hole in his side pod, which caused a lot of damage, which would have increased his drag. It would have decreased the downforce that his car's producing, because the efficiency with the air when it flows around the car is reduced due to the hole in the side pod. So, yeah, even though he had that and he was still faster than pretty much everyone, yeah, that tells me that Verstappen's in a very good position for today's Grand Prix. So I just want to say, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, I would greatly appreciate it if you just tapped that like button. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel for more F1 content. I would really appreciate it. We got a lot of F1 content to bring you guys' way, especially with this. So today we're doing a watch along, and then after the race I'm going to be going away and I'm going to be producing the preview and predictions for the next Grand Prix, which is the Miami Grand Prix, as that is literally right around the corner. It's crazy how thick and fast the F1 races are going to be coming this year. Obviously, we had last year, over the last few weekends, we had a bit of a break between each race, but now the races are going to come in thick and fast. Obviously, we got Baku today, then we've got Miami next weekend. I'm not sure if I'm going to be streaming Miami. I might be. It sort of depends how today goes and how I'm feeling as well, because I am a little bit ill, sadly. But yeah, we've got that. We've got Miami. Then we've got a break, which is going to be nice. It's going to be nice to have a little bit of a break. But then we've got 3 races in a row, and it is going to be absolutely manic between producing content, potentially live streaming, and just making things for you guys to watch. Because I want you guys to have the best possible experience. I want you guys to just sit back, relax, and enjoy the races with me, because it's a lot of fun to do this. It's fun to be streaming with people, and, you know, it's something I'm quite new at. I'm quite new to it. I'm maybe not the best at it, at least right now. But it's something I want to try and do a little bit more of, and something I want to try and improve and definitely get better at. So, guys, yeah, if you guys really are enjoying this stream, I would greatly appreciate if you guys let me know. And obviously, we can get some sort of conversation going as the race is going, because I would love to interact with you guys during the stream on top of actually just watching this together. So what are people's thoughts then today? Does anyone think that anyone can actually stop the Red Bull today? Because I think based on yesterday, it's a slam dunk that Red Bull are going to get a 1-2 here today. Obviously, Leclerc was able to hold off Verstappen yesterday, but that was due to Verstappen having a wounded Red Bull. And when it wasn't wounded, yeah, Verstappen was on another planet. Oh, not only was he on another planet, but really, the Red Bull was just so fast. And Ferrari, it seemed, were struggling a little bit on their tyres, especially towards the end of the sprint race. You could see that, for example, Leclerc, his pace, and I did actually mention this in my data analysis video, Leclerc's pace, you can see his lap times all of a sudden start to creep up as it went on, which tells me that the tyre wear was pretty bad for the Ferrari. And if the tyre wear is pretty bad for the Ferrari, then that could be something that holds them back a little bit today. And if it holds them back, then yeah, we could see the Red Bulls probably beat the Ferraris here today quite easily. And I think the Ferraris are going to be in a very tough race, potentially with the Mercedes and the Aston Martins, especially with Carlos Sainz. Sainz has been off the pace of his teammate Charles Leclerc all weekend long. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be off the pace of Charles Leclerc during the Grand Prix, actually. Is he going to be struggling to stick with, you know, the Mercedes cars as well? Lewis Hamilton, of course, I think has got a great opportunity to score some good points. Fernando Alonso, if the DRS is working, could be a threat to Carlos Sainz as well in the race, because Aston Martin during the sprint race, it seemed, had no tyre wear. Their lap times were very, very consistent, and those consistent lap times is basically telling me that they are in a great position today to just keep on going, keep on literally just chugging along. And as they're chugging along, their pace is very consistent pace, consistent tyre wear, then that's going to be better than Ferrari, who were getting slower and slower as the sprint race was going. Now, Lewis was a lot slower than his teammate yesterday, but it's hard to say whether or not he was only going a lot slower than his teammate because he had nothing to fight for, whereas George Russell, you know, he had something to fight for during that sprint race. We'll see, I think, as this race gets underway, but I don't think we're going to see too much between those guys. Overtaking in Baku is difficult. We saw some difficult overtakes yesterday, so it's going to be interesting to see if we see more difficult overtakes or if it's going to be quite easy. I don't really know what we're going to see. So the race is about to get underway. We're just right now on F1 TV getting through the pre-race, the whole pre-race thing. We're about to get to the race intro now. So yep, we've got the race intro starting. So yeah, what do you guys think? Does anybody think that we're going to see something in the midfield? Like, are we going to see a midfield driver perform really well and beat one of the top cars? Are McLaren going to get in the mix? McLaren are having a good weekend so far, but they are slow in a straight line. What about the Williams of Alex Albon? Albon had an excellent sprint race yesterday. Unfortunately, just finished in P9, so he was just out of the points. But does he have potential today? I think there's a good chance here that the Williams of Alex Albon could score some good points today. I think he's got a chance for points, especially if there's a bit of chaos in front. Baku is always filled with chaos. The question is, when are we going to get a safety car? Are we going to get a safety car early on? I think we might very well see an early safety car. Yeah, an early safety car, which could just change the entire aspect of this race. Anything like that could happen here today. So we're just getting the introduction now by Alex Jacques for round 4 here in Azerbaijan at Baku. And that is the second. It's a 51 lap Grand Prix. How many of them is going to be behind the safety car? Probably like, I don't know, maybe 10 of them, I think. I think we are going to see a few safety cars here today. We've seen a lot of mistakes in the sprint race and in the qualifying sessions. And I think we could see some more of those here today. We could see some big mistakes happen here today. And those mistakes are going to be very, very costly. So here we're seeing that Sainz and Giovinazzi. That's the old era of Formula 1. Right around the outside into turn 3 there goes Carlos Sainz on Giovinazzi. I'll be intrigued if we see any of that. Turn 8, here's Charles Leclerc steaming into the castle section. Yeah, hopefully we're not going to see Charles Leclerc have any incidents into the castle section or lock up into any of the corners and go into the wall. Yeah, we don't really want to see that. We don't want to see Charles Leclerc have any incidents because, you know, it's not going to be ideal. It's not going to be ideal for us if we see Leclerc in the wall and out of the race. very early on. So, yeah, nice little intro there. We got to see some of what we could see. So, Esteban Ocon with a pit lane start. Nico Hülkenberg also starting in the pit lane. And then we got De Vries in last place. Pierre Gasly behind him. Yeah, Kevin Magnussen, Zhou Guanyu. So, it looks like that Hülkenberg and Ocon were taken out to Parc Fermé. We saw that Ocon was taken out to Parc Fermé for the sprint race, and that means that he's also out to Parc Fermé for the main Grand Prix, which is why he is starting in the pit lane. And the Hülkenberg, the Hulkenberg, he was taken out of Parc Fermé as well, so it's a pit lane start for those two. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do. Yuki Tsunoda could be a dark horse in today's race. He is starting the race in 8th place, which is his best performance so far this year. What do you guys think is going to happen with Yuki Tsunoda? Do you think he could score some good points today? I think he's got a good chance if he keeps it clean. We didn't really get to see what Tsunoda could do in the sprint race because he did collide with his teammate, Nick De Vries, at the beginning of the race. And then from there, he understeered into the wall. He shouldn't do that today. And therefore, we could see something good with Yuki Tsunoda. What do you guys think? Do you think Tsunoda could score some points today in the AlphaTauri? He has been bitterly close multiple times so far this year to getting points. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can actually get some good points here today. So I'm going to be watching the F1 TV commentary team. So that's Alex Jakes and Jolyon Palmer. So I don't know what they're going to be saying on Sky Sports F1 for those that are wondering. I don't really know who they've got on commentary for Sky F1. I'm assuming they've got David Croft. I don't know if they've got Martin Brundle or if they've got someone else. If they have got someone else, do us a favour, let me know who actually are on the comms for Sky F1. I'm interested to see what they've got to say during this race because it's normally a little bit different to what the likes of F1 TV tend to say. So, yeah, let me know, guys. What are they going to be saying? And let's see then what tyres are people starting on here today for this Grand Prix. So, it looks like everyone is starting on the medium tyres except from Nick De Vries, Esteban Ocon, and Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg, De Vries, and Ocon are all on the hard tyres. We're not going to see anybody use a soft compound tyres today, I don't think. And the reason for that is because the soft tyres in the sprint race were absolutely awful. In my data analysis video, I talked about just how terrible the soft tyres were because we saw it with the likes of Lando Norris, Esteban Ocon, and Valtteri Bottas, who all tried the soft tyres and it didn't work for them. So everyone, unsurprisingly, on the medium tyres, with a couple of drivers on the hard compound tyres, and everyone is using a fresh set of softs. So that's going to be their last fresh set of medium compound tyres, for this race. They're going to be on the mediums, and it's going to be interesting to see how they all get on. Nobody's using used mediums, and that's interesting because yesterday, Leclerc was on fresh mediums, but the Red Bulls were on used mediums. And that is, I think, why we saw the Red Bulls get off to, the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc get off to a better start than the than the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. But with them all being on fresh mediums, we could see Red Bull get off to a better start here today. And that is going to be very, very interesting to see. Are they going to do very well on those fresh mediums? Are they going to be able to get the jump on Charles Leclerc here today, which they couldn't do yesterday because they didn't have the fresh medium tyres? So you guys can't see this, but the risk of rain for today's Grand Prix is 20%. That's interesting. So there is a chance of rain here today. It's only 20%, but there is a chance of rain. So it's going to be interesting to see if that could play a factor. I highly doubt it will. I don't think we're going to see any rain. But you never know. We could see a little bit of rain during this Grand Prix as well, especially if there's a red flag. And that pushes things back a little bit. Because I think as things get pushed back a little bit, there's always a chance for a little bit more rain. So, what can we see right now? They are finishing the formation lap. The drivers are coming around the last couple of corners then. Charles Leclerc trying to back up the pack, but he's decided to go now. And surely he's going to back off. Yes, he is. There we go. Leclerc through turn 18, backs up a little bit. He's going to be trying to back up the pack just a little bit because he's going to not want to be sat on that grid on his own for too long. because if he sat on the grid on his own for too long, of course, then he's going to be losing tyre temperature, and as he's losing tyre temperature, then he is going to be losing potential grip in the tyres, and he's going to get a worse start. So you can see the Red Bulls are weaving, but Leclerc opted to not weave, which I think is quite interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. That's an interesting choice, that he's not weaving. He's not trying to get extra tyre temperature into the rear tyres. Yeah, that's interesting. Red Bull's opted to do that. So Red Bull's going to try and get as much grip as possible so that they can get the best possible launch off the line to try and find a way down the inside past Charles Leclerc. If Leclerc wins today, keep streaming all races. Bob, look, if Leclerc somehow pulls it out of his ass and he wins today, I'm absolutely going to be streaming all the races. I don't see how he's going to win, but if he does manage to win, then absolutely, yes, I am going to be streaming more races. Because, yeah, yeah, there's no way that's happening. I don't think there's any way that it's happening, but you never know. Daryl Ben, please do it. Please do it. Please do it. Listen, dude, like I said, if he does manage to do it, then yes, I will be streaming more races. But yeah, I don't see how, sadly, I've got to say, I don't see how he's going to pull it out of his ass and how he's going to win, because that Red Bull is just too fast in a straight line. But you never know, if he does manage it, we might just stream a few more races. Anyway, we're now waiting on the 5 red lights, and when it goes out, the Grand Prix will be underway. It's lights out and away we do. It's a good start for Leclerc. Leclerc gets off to a great start. He leads into turn 1. He's done it. Leclerc there with an excellent start. Leads out of turn 1. The Red Bull has not managed to get off to a good start. McLaren's got off to a good start there. Because I think that's the McLaren of Lando Norris getting past. No, sorry, that's Lance Stroll getting back past the McLaren there of Lando Norris. But a good start there for Lando Norris. It's been a very clean start. That's interesting. We normally see a bit of incidents, but we haven't seen any today. It's been a very clean start to the race. But Leclerc leads the Grand Prix from the Red Bull of Max Verstappen in second place. Sergio Perez is in third place. Carlos Sainz is fourth. And then the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso, I believe that is right behind. No, sorry, it's the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. And then the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. So Leclerc is leading, but Verstappen is already all over the back of him. We got a yellow flag in sector 1, and I don't know why that is. So we're looking at the track map. We've got a yellow flag in sector 1. That's at turn 1 and at turn 2. But I don't know why that is. Yellow flag turn 1. Has there been an incident that I've not been aware of? Maybe there has been, but it's been cleared now. The yellow flag is gone, so we're back under green flag racing. So, yeah, not sure what that yellow flag was all about, but it's all back to green flag racing. And Charles Leclerc right now still leads at the end of lap 1, but we're on board now with the Red Bull of Max Verstappen, and the Red Bull of Verstappen is getting closer and closer then to the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Is he going to find a way past? No, he's not. That's very interesting. That is very interesting. But is that Verstappen just sticking behind Leclerc for now? Or has Leclerc actually got some good pace? We're going to see, I think, once the DRS gets enabled, that we're probably going to see Verstappen fly past the Ferrari there of Charles Leclerc. But right now, it's Leclerc who leads from Verstappen in second place with Perez in third. And they are slowly opening the gap, it looks like, to the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. So once again, it's looking like the Ferrari of Sainz just has not got the pace of the top 3 drivers, which we saw in the sprint race. We're seeing it once again. And I wonder if Carlos Sainz is going to be a bit of a rear gunner today then for those drivers. For the top 3, is Sainz going to be a bit of a rear gunner? Because we don't know what Hamilton's pace is. We don't really know what the Aston Martins can do either. But yeah, it definitely looks like that the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz is a bit slower than the top 3, which is what we saw in sprint race, and we've actually seen for pretty much all of this weekend, at least so far. But look at this. I mean, just look at that. Verstappen is all over the back there of the Ferrari. And yeah, Verstappen's going to fly past Leclerc here. Whether or not he's going to do it with DRS, I don't know. But yeah, Verstappen, it's only a matter of time before Verstappen gets Charles Leclerc. It is, yeah, only a matter of time now. Apologies about that. Yeah, so it looks like then we've still got Verstappen leading the still got Leclerc leading the Grand Prix, but DRS has now been enabled, and as you can see, Verstappen is getting closer and closer. He's looking there down the inside. So, yeah, it's only a matter of time, I think, now before Leclerc is taken by the Red Bull. And I apologize, guys, by the way. I am a little bit ill, so if you see me mute at any point and blow my nose, it's disgusting, I know, but I can't help it. I am a little bit ill. Anyway, so here's a replay of the start, and let's see what actually happened. Yeah, I don't know where the yellow flag came from, to be honest, because it doesn't look like there was any real incidents. So for those that are wondering, I don't think they're showing it on normal TV. It is only on F1 TV, but they are showing a replay right now of the start of the race. And I don't see where the yellow flag came from. Oh, that's where it came from. We were on board there with Kevin Magnussen and one of the midfield drivers. I couldn't really see who it was. It was the Williams of Albon. That's disappointing. So the Williams of Alexander Albon clipped the back of the McLaren there, and that is why we had a yellow flag during that first lap. That was to clear up some debris on Alex Albon's car as he clipped the McLaren there of, I think, Oscar Piastri. Anyway, here we go now, back to live racing, and here comes Max Verstappen with the DRS, and goodbye Charles Leclerc. 30 kilometers per hour speed advantage. Through goes Max Verstappen, and he takes the lead of the Grand Prix. Sorry, MF1 racer, but yeah, that was inevitable. So from there, Max Verstappen's taken the lead of the Grand Prix, and I think without any incidents, that's probably game, set, and match. And I think Max Verstappen's already won today's race. Unless, maybe Perez can take the fight to Verstappen. But yeah, Leclerc's not got the race pace to take it to Verstappen. So there we go. Verstappen goes through and takes the lead of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. So what's going to happen next? Is Sergio Perez going to find a way past Charles Leclerc? I think that's the next thing today because, yeah, the Red Bulls just look like they're in a league of their own once again. That was very, very easy for Max Verstappen there to get through past the Ferrari there of Charles Leclerc. Yeah, and from there, Verstappen's already opened up a 1 second lead. Like a 1 second lead already. What on earth is anyone going to do about these Red Bulls? So anyway, here comes Sergio Perez, and Perez is getting a little bit closer then to the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. I don't think Leclerc's going to get the DRS. Leclerc made a mistake there on the exit of the curb, and with him making a mistake there, that's going to put him under pressure from the Red Bull here of Sergio Perez. Perez surely now with the DRS is going to get closer and closer, and he's going to find a way through. Here comes Sergio Perez, and with the DRS, he's getting closer and closer, and look at that speed. He sits behind him for now, but it's only a matter of time before Charles Leclerc is overtaken by the Red Bull there of Sergio Perez, because Perez is looking ominous behind there, the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Leclerc's got the DRS this time, though. That's going to help him against the Red Bull of Sergio Perez. He's going to use that to defend just a little bit. So that's a little bit of defense there by Charles Leclerc. But yeah, it looks like it's all over for Leclerc to win this race. Maybe he can get a third place, so he's fighting for third, I think, today. As Carlos Sainz can't really stick with the top three. But he's not really falling off the back of them either, which I think is quite interesting. So Sainz is performing a little bit better than he did yesterday. But it does look like that Sainz is holding up Lewis Hamilton and the Aston Martins. So Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here with Carlos Sainz against the Mercedes. Thankfully for Sainz, he is a faster car in a straight line in general than the Mercedes and the Aston Martins, based on what we've seen in previous races. So I do think it's going to be a little bit trickier for Hamilton and the Aston Martins, especially the Aston Martins, to find a way past Carlos Sainz. So Sainz could be a little bit of a rear gunner, I think, in this race for Charles Leclerc. And that's the only way I think we could see Leclerc getting a podium here today, because Ferrari maybe don't have the race pace of the top drivers. So here we go then. Here comes Sergio Perez. Is he going to find a way through? Is he going to find a way through? Here we go. Sergio Perez down the inside. Comes across Charles Leclerc there to stop Leclerc from being able to do anything about it. But through goes Sergio Perez and up to second place. It's a Red Bull 1-2. And I think that is that for the top two here today. Can Leclerc do anything about Sergio Perez? No, not really. So there we go then. Verstappen leads the race from Sergio Perez in second place. If you're enjoying the race, guys, and if you are enjoying the stream, I would greatly appreciate it if you just tap that little like button. It helps me out a lot. As I am a small content creator, it really does help to get just to get a little bit of like, a little bit of love. Yeah, what are you guys thinking so far in this race? We can see there a very sad Ferrari fan and a very happy Red Bull fan right next to him. Yeah, I feel the pain of that Ferrari fan, I'm not going to lie. So yeah, right now, let's take a look at this and look at Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton? Ooh, that's interesting. That's very good there of Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll's just said he will not attack. So Lance Stroll's basically saying he will not fight his teammate Fernando Alonso. He knows Alonso is a little bit faster overall, and he knows Alonso is ahead in the Drivers' Championship. So Lance Stroll, they're saying that he's not going to attack. He's not going to attack his teammate Fernando Alonso. That's really nice to see. Let's take a look at this then. So we're on board with Lewis Hamilton, and Hamilton, I think, is faster than his teammate, but he's faster than Carlos Sainz. But because Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari is in general faster in a straight line than than Carlos Sainz, Lewis Hamilton can't do anything really about the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz, because the Ferrari is just a little bit too fast in a straight line. And that means that, as we can see right now, not much is going to happen. We got an Alfa Romeo in the pits. That's an early stop. It's Bottas getting off the mediums and getting onto the hard compound tyres. That's an early stop. We've also seen that Pierre Gasly has done an early stop as well to get off the mediums and get onto the hard compound tyres. I wonder if Pierre Gasly and Bottas then are opting to go to the end of the race on those hard compound tyres, because they've changed over now and they don't need to make another pit stop at all in this race. Like, they don't need to stop at all. So will they be going towards the end of the race? That's going to be interesting to see. But right now, let's take a look at things. Carlos Sainz has opened up the gap a little bit to Lewis Hamilton. So I wonder if Hamilton's maybe been pushing a little bit to try and get towards Carlos Sainz, and is right now backing off to try and maybe regain some energy, because to regain some energy to try and attack again a little bit later on, or maybe his tyres are overheating. This is earlier in the day than the sprint race, and also earlier in the day than the main qualifying. So they haven't actually run at this time in the day, except from in, first practice? Like, other than that, they've not really ran at this time in the day. So we don't have too much data to go off of to see what could happen with the tyres. Alex Albon right now is coming in the pits. I have a feeling they're probably going to change his front wing. I'll be surprised if they don't change his wing. Let's have a look then. Into the pits he goes. Are they going to change the wing? No, they're not. They're going to leave the wing. And on goes a set of hard compound tyres, I imagine. And that will take Albon maybe to the end of the race. I'll be surprised if they do a one-stop. To be honest, I think it is going to definitely be a two-stop for those guys. But yeah, let's see. What's happening right now? What's happening? So, Max Verstappen's leading the race by 1.1 seconds from teammate Sergio Perez. Charles Leclerc is now 2 seconds behind Sergio Perez. Carlos Sainz is 2 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. Lewis Hamilton is 1.6 behind Carlos Sainz. Alonso is 1.1 behind Hamilton. And Stroll is 1.3 behind Fernando Alonso. Okay. That's a bit boring. Yeah, I am not sure much is going to be happening right now. Yeah, people are pitting a little bit early. That's interesting. So maybe they're going for a two-stop strategy. So we got a few drivers, I think, who's boxed early. They're going to go for a two-stop, I imagine, because I don't think they'll be able to do the whole race on a set of hard compound tyres. I think if the drivers make it to, like, lap 15, lap 16, they may be on a one-stop strategy. If they get to lap 20, then they're almost certainly going to be on a one-stop strategy. But I don't really know what's going to be happening with the rest of the guys. Someone else is diving into the pits. We've got a few other people in the pits then. So that's Sonoda, Piastri diving into the pits. So they're taking off the mediums and getting onto the hard tyres. And here's Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso has got right up to the back of Lewis Hamilton. Where has this come from? Because just a few moments ago, he was 1.2 seconds behind. But right now, Alonso is only 0.3 of a second behind Lewis Hamilton. And Sergio Perez is 0.8 of a second behind Max Verstappen. Just as I was saying that not much is happening and the race is about to get dull, the race is coming alive. I wonder if tyre wear is a little bit higher than anticipated, because we're only 8 laps into the race, and look at this, the Mercedes crew, are they getting ready for a pit stop? They might be getting ready for a pit stop. Lewis Hamilton might have done his tyres in because he's now 3 seconds behind Carlos Sainz. Tyre wear, it seems, is very high here today. We saw this in the sprint race, but we're getting a good look at it now that the tyre wear is very high. And Lewis Hamilton, I thought he was slow in the sprint race because he didn't have much to fight for. But it could actually be he was slow in the sprint race because he was just struggling with tyre wear. Because look at this, Alonso is all over the back of Lewis Hamilton. Is Hamilton going to box this lap? Yes, he is. Fernando Alonso takes the position. I think he would have overtaken him anyway. But Lewis Hamilton diving into the pits. Lando Norris is also coming into the pits, I think, there. So into the pits comes Lando Norris. Through goes George Russell. The tyres are not lasting. The tyres are not lasting. Was that an unsafe release as well between Hamilton and Norris? I don't think it was. But Lewis Hamilton, this is awful for Lewis Hamilton. He's coming out in traffic. He's coming out just behind the Hulkster. Hulkenberg and Esteban Ocon are ahead of Lewis Hamilton. They've not stopped in this race, but Lewis Hamilton has come out into traffic, and that is a disaster for Lewis Hamilton because those guys are going to be slower than the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 1 as well. Who's that? I think that might be Kevin Magnussen, who maybe made a bit of a mistake because he's dropped down the order there. So Kevin Magnussen making a mistake in this race. What's Verstappen saying? Yeah, Verstappen said he's sliding. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 1, Sector 2. Who is that? Let's take a look. That's De Vries. Is De Vries in the wall? Is De Vries in the wall, or has he managed to get back going? We're taking a look here now. And that is De Vries. He's made a mistake. He's been in the wall. That is Nick De Vries who's been in the wall, because look at his front tyres. And that is game over for De Vries. Surely we're going to get a virtual safety car, or maybe a full course safety car now. With that, into the pits comes Max Verstappen. It's all kicking off in this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Are Ferrari going to box either driver? No, they're not. Both drivers, it seems, are going through. I'm very surprised because with De Vries being on the side of the track, surely we're going to see a safety car of some kind. Surely we're going to see a safety car. And if we do, I think we're going to see that Max Verstappen's going to lose out. Max Verstappen's going to lose out. The safety car is out here in Baku. It's all kicking off now. It is all kicking off in this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The safety car has been deployed because of Nyck de Vries having an incident. And that is going to screw the likes of Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton and Verstappen are going to lose out massively here. What on earth happened with de Vries? I have a feeling he probably clipped the inside wall. But I think we're about to see then what happened with Nyck de Vries. Let's take a look then. Let's get a replay. I want to see what happened. I think he probably clipped the inside wall. But this race has just come alive, ladies and gentlemen. If you're enjoying this race, please smash the like button. And if you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe for much more F1 content. Because we got a lot to analyse after this race now. Because this race has just come alive. We got a safety car then. What's going to happen? Surely Ferrari's going to box. Ferrari's got to box. There's no way they're not going to pit. So Sergio Perez is definitely going to pit. Is the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc going to pit? What is Carlos Sainz going to do? This is interesting. This is very, very interesting. Like, I don't know what's going to happen now. I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen now. Out comes then the safety car. Is this Perez coming into the pits? This is very interesting then. Sorry, I was just putting out a tweet. So both cars are in for Ferrari. That's to be expected. The fact that they all, I would have been surprised if they didn't do that. So let's see what happens then. Where is Max Verstappen going to come out? What is going to happen here? Is Verstappen going to be behind both Ferraris? Is he going to be behind both Ferraris? Alonso's jumped Carlos Sainz, everyone. Fernando Alonso has jumped Carlos Sainz. Has he? Or is that just because of the pits? No, he's not. So Verstappen is behind Charles Leclerc. It's actually not too bad for Max Verstappen, I've got to be honest. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But Lewis Hamilton then, he has lost out massively. He is now behind Fernando Alonso, George Russell, Lance Stroll, Esteban Ocon, and Nico Hülkenberg. He has lost out absolutely massively. What are your guys' thoughts? What are your thoughts on this safety car? That changes the dynamic of this race massively. Max Verstappen has lost out to his teammate Sergio Perez. I expect Verstappen to get past Leclerc quite quickly, to be honest. But what's going to happen now between Verstappen and Perez? Because Perez is not going to give this up. This is a race win for Sergio Perez, potentially. So Verstappen and Perez are going to be fighting very, very hard in this race. I think now this Azerbaijan Grand Prix is about to come alive. This is amazing. This is great. This is exactly what we need to see. Lewis has been shafted, LH24X23 has said. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think they brought him in. I mean, his tyres were done. You've got to realise Lewis Hamilton's tyres at that point were absolutely done. And he was going to get overtaken by Fernando Alonso anyway. So, you know, it was damned if he do, damned if he doesn't. His medium tyres were done. So, I don't know if he's been shafted as per se. But he's definitely lost out a little bit. Yeah, let's see then what happened with de Vries. Did he just hit the inside wall? He did, yeah. That's exactly what Carlos Sainz did in FP1. But of course, the difference was Carlos Sainz didn't hit the wall quite that hard. But yeah, Sainz made that same mistake and was able to carry on. But de Vries hit the wall just a little bit harder. But yeah, that's bad for de Vries. That is really, really bad for Nyck de Vries. So let's see what happened here between Stroll and Russell. Is that legal? Is that legal? Where did he overtake him? Oh, that was That's very close to dangerous, surely. That has to be a dangerous, like, pit maneuver. So there we go. That's a good stop there for Leclerc. Did Leclerc... Was there an unsafe release there for Leclerc? Or were they just showing it because he was close to the Red Bull? That's not an unsafe release for Perez, I don't think. I think that's perfectly fine. But, yeah. That's changed the dynamic of this race. Lewis Hamilton is going to feel very hard done by, I think. He's now down in P10. Hamilton was P5 and all over the back of Carlos Sainz for a little while. And he's now down in P10. I mean, he's effective P8, I think, because Ocon and Hülkenberg haven't stopped yet. But that is... Yeah, that's bad news, I think, for Lewis Hamilton. That's going to make his life a lot harder here today. He's going to get past Hülkenberg and Esteban Ocon, don't get me wrong. But, yeah, that's made his race a lot harder. So the safety car's coming in. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's really good. I'm glad that the safety car's ending. So we're going to get this race back underway. Apologies, I was just putting out a little tweetaroo. So, right, let's see then what's going to happen when this race gets back underway. Are we going to see Verstappen fly past Charles Leclerc? I don't think he's going to fly past him straight away, but he's definitely going to get by him at some point. At some point pretty soon. He's probably going to find a way past him. So let's see then. The race is about to get back underway. Everyone now on the hard compound tyres. They're all off the mediums, which is to be expected because the mediums were not lasting. I think this is now a two-stop race, by the way, guys. Because those medium tyres were not lasting. I have a good feeling that these hard tyres are not going to last as long as they expected either. So we are going to see a two-stop race definitely today now. But anyway, the race is about to get back underway. Is Verstappen going to do what he did at the safety car restart yesterday? And that is mug the car in front. Let's see then, the Grand Prix is back underway. Verstappen's going to go for it down the inside, but he's a bit too far back. Charles Leclerc, though, looks for a move around the outside of Sergio Perez. But he's not been able to do anything there. And Charles Leclerc, he's got the inside line there on Max Verstappen. There goes. Oh, look at that. That's Hamilton. Hamilton with some beautiful moves there. Lance Stroll finds a way past George Russell. Here comes Max Verstappen down the inside on Charles Leclerc. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. Max Verstappen back up to P2 in this race. Lewis Hamilton up to P8. George Russell down to P7. There goes Fernando Alonso down the inside on Carlos Sainz. What a move by Fernando Alonso. Absolutely incredible overtake there by Fernando Alonso. What a lad. What a move there by Fernando. That's bad news for Charles Leclerc, I think. That is really bad news for Leclerc. Fernando Alonso passed the Ferrari there of Carlos Sainz. And now Alonso is going to be all over the back, I think, of Charles Leclerc. We've not got to see Charles Leclerc's pace. Fernando Alonso's pace, really, throughout the sprint race. But I think Alonso's pace in the race is going to be very, very good. So that is bad news for Charles Leclerc, unless Sainz can get back past Alonso using the straight line speed advantage that the Ferrari has over the Aston Martin. But what a restart that was, guys. That was a very good restart. We saw some great overtakes there. Max Verstappen straight down the inside into turn 3 on Charles Leclerc. Alonso with a beautiful move into turn 4. Hamilton with a brave move, getting past Ocon and Hülkenberg as quickly as possible. Lance Stroll, beautiful move by Stroll, getting straight past George Russell. And now George Russell's coming under threat from his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Is Hamilton going to get George Russell down the inside? Lewis Hamilton, what a move there by Lewis Hamilton down the inside past George Russell. Russell's going to look at coming back at Hamilton, but he's not going to be able to do anything about it. Lewis Hamilton with a strong move there. LH44, I hope you're feeling a little bit better about that now, because Hamilton's got past the 2 cars, and he's got past George Russell as well, with a beautiful, beautiful move there by Hamilton. What a restart this has been. That's brought the race alive a little bit. But the question is now, what's going to happen between Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen as this race wears on? Is Verstappen going to be faster than Sergio Perez? That's what I'm interested in seeing. We're seeing an overtake right now on F1 TV. I think it's exclusive for F1 TV with Max Verstappen there getting right down the inside. Good move there. And I think it held Leclerc up a little bit, and that then held up Carlos Sainz. And that is why Fernando Alonso was able to just dive straight down the inside past Carlos Sainz. Beautiful move there by Fernando Alonso. What a move there by Fernando. Good move there by Alonso. But Carlos Sainz, as you can see on the main feed, is all over the back of Fernando Alonso. Yeah, George Russell there accepting blame for getting a bad restart there. So George Russell, I think he's accepting blame there. That is why Lewis Hamilton was able to get past him. Unsafe release noted for Sergio Perez. I don't think that was an unsafe release. I really don't think that was an unsafe release. Yeah, that's not good. No, I don't agree with that. Definitely not unsafe. That was fine. There was nothing wrong with what happened with Sergio Perez there. That was not an unsafe release at all. And that's going to ruin this race, I think, if it is an unsafe release. Because that's going to guarantee that that Max Verstappen's won this Grand Prix. Like, that's going to guarantee victory for Verstappen. There's no way that hasn't. Good. Yeah, good. All right. No investigation necessary. Thank God for that. Like, that would be completely unnecessary to have one. So, yeah, good to see they haven't done that. The race is on. Game on in this Grand Prix. So, let's have a look then. What's happening right now? Sergio Perez with the fastest first sector. That's interesting. So, Perez is not going to give this up. Verstappen's got to find a way on track at getting past Sergio Perez. And right now, he can't do anything about Sergio Perez. This is looking very good for Sergio Perez in this race now. And that's awesome. That's awesome. What about Carlos Sainz? And can Carlos Sainz do anything about Fernando Alonso? He's not within a second, or is he? He's just got in a second. Is he going to get the DRS then? Just looking right now at the live timing. Is Carlos Sainz going to get the DRS? I think he is, you know. I think he is. And the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton is all over the back of... Oh, that's Stroll. Stroll's been in the wall. Oh, that's a big hit. That's a huge hit for Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll with a big hit in the wall. And that is why Lewis Hamilton is now all over the back of Lance Stroll. That's why Lance Stroll has lost out, and now Hamilton is all over the back of Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll hit the wall. We got a yellow flag in sector 1 as well. What's that for? I think it's just a small yellow. Does nothing necessary. But Lewis Hamilton now all over the back of Lance Stroll after Stroll hit the wall. And now surely Lewis Hamilton's going to find a way past the Aston Martin there of Lance Stroll. This race is chaos. This race has really come alive since this safety car, guys. I hope you're enjoying this race, because I actually am now. I thought the race was going to be boring, it was going to be dull, there was not going to be much happening. But since this safety car, it's got a lot better. It certainly has gotten a lot better. We're seeing mistakes as well by drivers, which is what we want to see. We don't want to see drivers not have mistakes. So, yeah, good to see that we're getting some mistakes happening. No investigation necessary for George Russell. Yeah, thank God for that. I'm glad that we're not getting any... I'm glad that we're not getting any investigations for any unsafe releases. Unsafe releases that aren't unsafe. But yeah, here's Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton all over the back of Lance Stroll. Stroll now able to pull away a little bit. Stroll is within the DRS of Carlos Sainz. So that's going to stop Lewis Hamilton, I think, from being able to overtake Lance Stroll. Let's see, though. Is Hamilton going to get the DRS? We're about to find out now. Here we go, down the straight. Has Lance Stroll got DRS? We're going to take a look at the live timings. No, it doesn't look like Stroll has got the DRS, but Hamilton has got the DRS. And Hamilton's getting closer and closer. That's interesting. So Lewis Hamilton there not only had the DRS, but he pulled out of the slipstream of Lance Stroll, which tells me that maybe the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton is running a little bit hot. And if he is running a little bit hot, then yeah, that could be why. That could mean that Hamilton's going to have a harder time overtaking Lance Stroll than we thought. There's Kevin Magnussen running wide. And he almost lost the rear end. Kevin Magnussen. Beautiful there. Almost lost the rear end, but was able to catch it and hold it. And didn't bin the car there. Beautiful by Kevin Magnussen there. But yeah, Max Verstappen now fastest Sector 1. Max Verstappen, he's coming now at Sergio Perez. The gap between Verstappen and Perez about 1.3 seconds. And Max Verstappen is coming at Sergio Perez. That's going to be interesting to see. But look at the Red Bulls, man. Look at the gap they've been able to open up on Charles Leclerc. That is huge. A 5-second gap to Charles Leclerc. And there's nothing Leclerc can do. And Leclerc's got a decent gap as well to the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. What's this that Alonso got to say? That's interesting. So, Alonso saying that I've got good brake balance. Tell Lance Stroll to go into the settings I have, and it might help him out a little bit. That's very interesting. That's very good teamwork there between the Aston Martin drivers of Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso. They are working together, which is good to see. And also, Lance Stroll has got the DRS, and he's getting closer and closer then to the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. I wonder if Sainz is going to struggle here now against the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll. We're going to see now what's going to happen with the tyre wear as this race unfolds as well, guys. I think in maybe the next, 10 to 15 laps, we're really going to see if they can get to the end or if they are going to have to two-stop in this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Personally, I think we are going to see a two-stop. I don't think anyone's going to be able to get through this race on a one-stop race. So I do think it is going to be a two-stop. We've got a replay here of Esteban Ocon. What happened with Ocon? Oh, Ocon! Ocon so close to the wall there. Did he brush the wall on the exit? Let's take a look. Oh, that is as close as you like by Esteban Ocon. We are seeing a lot of mistakes in this race. And that was, it looks like, the rear tyres of Ocon's car maybe just starting to give up a little bit. Ocon's been on those tyres since the beginning of the race. And that tells me then that, no, it doesn't look like we will be able to get away with a one-stop. Because if Ocon's been on those since the beginning of the race, and he is running out now of rear tyre. Oh, big slide! Big slide by Stroll. Almost in the wall. He's going to lose a place now to Lewis Hamilton, surely. That's a big mistake by Lance Stroll. And now Lewis Hamilton, surely, is going to get past the Aston Martin. Here comes Lewis Hamilton. He's got the DRS. And through he goes. Surely now past Lance Stroll. Through he goes around the outside. Stroll's got the inside. Is he going to dive down the inside? No, Hamilton cuts to the inside. Lewis Hamilton goes through past Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll with a critical error then in this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We're seeing a lot of mistakes in this race. A lot of drivers getting a huge kick of oversteer in this race. And that's going to cost Lance Stroll, surely, against Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton then goes through. Can Stroll do anything about him? I don't think he can. Wow, what a move then. What a move by Lewis Hamilton there to get past Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll with a crucial error. Let's see what happened. Was it a kick of oversteer on the exit? Yeah, it was. It was. We've seen that so often during this race. They've seen so many kicks of oversteer during this race. There's not much grip out there on that surface, on those hard tyres. Those hard tyres are not providing any grip. Like, they're really not providing a lot of grip because we've seen so many kicks of oversteer. There's Sergio Perez with a kick of oversteer as well, as Max Verstappen is closing down the gap a little bit. to Sergio Perez. This race is not over, guys. This race is not over. I thought this was going to be a very dull race, but it's really not. Like, this race is not over. Charles Leclerc has got a very decent gap to Fernando Alonso, but of course he's nowhere near the two Red Bulls, but the two Red Bulls are racing each other. Are you guys enjoying this race? If you are enjoying the race, please let me know in the comment section as well, guys, because I'd love to have a chat with you guys about this race. Lance Stroll is now coming under threat from the Mercedes of George Russell. Is George Russell now going to find a way past the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll? Do you guys think he's going to find a way through? Do you think he's going to be quick if he does find a way through? He's all over the back of him, I've got to be honest. Lance Stroll is really struggling on these hard tyres. I think the tyres are done on Lance Stroll. Stroll's going to have to pit again at some point during this race. He absolutely is going to have to stop again, because those rear tyres are screaming for Lance Stroll. He's got a lot of oversteer in a lot of areas, and he is really struggling with those tyres. Yes, Stroll is a little bit scrappy, as Jolyon Palmer has just said on the F1 TV comms. Let's take a look here at Sergio Perez. I think Perez just hit the curb, and that's what kicked off the oversteer there. But that was close. Sergio Perez, so close to being in the wall. He cannot afford to make too many mistakes, otherwise he will lose out against his teammate. Verstappen will get Perez if Perez makes any more mistakes like that. But yeah, this race is not over. This race is really not over. Let's take a look here then between Stroll and Russell. Let's take a look at the tyre life for both drivers. Lance Stroll's tyres are 12 laps old, whereas George Russell's tyres are 9 laps old. Lance Stroll is on used hard tyres, whereas George Russell opted for fresh hard tyres. And I think that could be interesting. That could be why we're maybe seeing Stroll make some mistakes. He's on used tyres. He's on tyres that have already done a few laps. They've already had a heat cycle put through them. And usually when cars have got a heat cycle put through them, what tends to happen is that heat cycle makes the tyres a little bit harder, and it means that they have a little bit less grip sometimes. And I wonder if that's what's happened with Lance Stroll. He's on a set of hards that have had a heat cycle put through them, and that's why he's struggling for rear grip. Maybe, just maybe. That's a thought anyway. Yeah, that could be why he's struggling then for rear tyre grip, if that is the case. Because, yeah, his tyres are used hard tyres. George Russell right now only 0.7 of a second behind the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll as well. So let's see then what's going to happen as this race unfolds. What about Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen? Yeah, still right now a 1.4 second gap, so yeah, not much is going to really be happening between those guys, I don't think. Which is a bit of a shame, but yeah, it is what it is. It absolutely is what it is. What else have we got then? Let's see, is anyone else close to cars ahead? George Russell's in the DRS zone. Gasly's only half a second behind Alex Albon as well. That could be an interesting one going forward. Let's see, what else is there? Norris is in the DRS zone of Nico Hülkenberg as well. Anything else, really? Nothing too major other than that. But let's see then. What George Russell, what's he gonna be able to do? Is he a little bit too far back? I think he might be a little bit too far back this time around. Yeah, I think George Russell a little bit too far back. Yeah, degradation on the hard tyre, we've just been told. So Jolyon Palmer's just said that we are seeing degradation on the hard tyres, which I think is what we're seeing. Yeah, we can definitely see that. So it is definitely going to be a two-stop race. They're going to have to box again for another set of the hard compound tyres in this race. Hülkenberg there getting very close to the Alpine there of Esteban Ocon. Ocon, I think, is struggling on those hard tyres that he has been on since the start of the race. Also, of course, Hülkenberg's been on those hard tyres since the start of the race as well. but things are looking a little bit better than maybe for Hülkenberg than they are Ocon. Alpine this weekend have been very hard to judge because they have been pretty slow, and I think they've just been very hard on their tyres. And look at Ocon. Ocon, by the way, if you can't see that, has got a huge train of cars behind him. I think that huge train of cars is going to be what the cars in front are going to be looking at. I think the two Red Bulls, if they go for a two-stop, are going to be looking to get into that gap between, George Russell and Esteban Ocon. I don't think the Ferrari is going to be able to get into that gap, and I certainly don't think anyone else behind them are, but the two Red Bulls, I think, are going to stop again, and they're going to be looking to get between George Russell and Lance Stroll. And is that George Russell ahead of Lewis Hamilton? Ahead of Lance Stroll. George Russell then, let's see, he's going for it. Is he going to be able to go down the inside? No, he's not. Stroll just able to hold off there. The the Mercedes there of George Russell was Lance Stroll. Lewis Hamilton now is getting very close to the back of Carlos Sainz as well. Sainz is struggling. Lance Stroll is struggling as well. What do you think about MF1 Racer? What do you think about Aston Martin this weekend? Clearly they are slower. They're slower than they have been. You are right in saying that. But I just think it's a fact that the Ferrari cars are a lot faster this weekend. This is a circuit that suits the Ferrari cars. Ferrari are very efficient in a straight line, and I think that is helping Charles Leclerc this weekend. So far this year, I've said it before, and I'm probably going to say it another million times. Charles Leclerc this season has been very, very unlucky. In Bahrain, he was much faster than Carlos Sainz. In Saudi Arabia, he was also much faster than Carlos Sainz, but had a 10-place penalty due to power unit changes. And of course, in Australia, he took himself out at the beginning, so we couldn't really say what he was like versus Carlos Sainz. But in general, Charles Leclerc has been a lot faster than Carlos Sainz this year. In Bahrain, he probably would have got a podium. In Saudi Arabia, if he didn't start from 12th place, he could have got a podium there as well. So I think Leclerc's pace has been masked by a lot of bad luck. And this weekend, with a circuit that really does suit the Ferrari car, we are seeing that Charles Leclerc is able to extract a lot more performance than his teammate Carlos Sainz. And that's what we're seeing so far this weekend, in my opinion. So I don't think it's a case of Aston Martin are slower. I think it's more just we're finally getting to see what Leclerc is capable of this year. And this is a circuit that in general does suit the Ferrari car a lot more than the Aston Martin. So I hope that helps why we are seeing what we are seeing. Yeah, that could be why. I genuinely think that's just it. So what else are we seeing then in this race? Are we seeing anything else interesting, guys? Can anyone else see anything really interesting that maybe they want to say? Because I don't really know what else there is right now that's happening. I think we're in a bit of a stalemate right now with what's happening. Yeah, look, you got Verstappen, Perez. Like, they're pretty much at a stalemate. Leclerc's pulling up. Leclerc's got a decent gap to Fernando Alonso, but they're at a bit of a stalemate. Carlos Sainz is significantly slower than Charles Leclerc and Fernando Alonso. But look, Hamilton can't do anything about Sainz because Sainz is in general just too fast. Like, Sainz is faster than Lewis Hamilton in a straight line. And it's so much so that Hamilton can't really do anything about the Ferrari or Carlos Sainz. George Russell, he's at a bit of a stalemate with Lance Stroll. Stroll is struggling for tyres. Esteban Ocon's tyres and Nico Hülkenberg's tyres are completely done. And they are dropping a long way back behind the next pack. And that is exactly what the likes of Red Bull want to see. I think that for Ocon, this is helping them. Because Ocon only has to do one stop in this race, I think. He only has to do one stop. I think everyone behind Ocon will have to stop again in this race. Whereas Ocon only has to do one stop. And that means Ocon right now, holding up those people behind him, It's all for position. So it's actually not a waste of time that Esteban Ocon is holding up this train of cars right now. But yeah, that is what I think is happening right now. Yeah, there's nothing else really to say. But yeah, right now I think we are at a bit of a stalemate in this Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which I think is a bit of a shame. Because otherwise, I think we've seen some great racing. We've seen some not so great racing. But yeah, right now, we're sort of in that lull phase. We're halfway through the race. People are just getting laps on the board at this point. Just getting laps, get through the laps. Let's try and get the tyres to a certain distance, and then we're going to battle. And I think that's what's happening right now. So I'm just going to take a quick... I'm just going to take a quick toilet break right now, unfortunately. So I am going to play an advert whilst I run to the toilet, guys. So unfortunately, so sorry about that, guys. Well, maybe I'm going to insert an ad anyway. But yeah, I am just going to take a quick break and I will be back with you guys in a second. Hello, we are back. Sorry about that, guys. I just had to take a little pit stop, let's just say. Right. So, has anything changed in that time where I ran to the toilet? It doesn't look... Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Nope, I'm not. Okay, good. I thought I was still on the wrong page there. Has anything changed? Let's have a look. No. No is the answer. Right, let's take a look then. So we've still got a decent gap between Verstappen and Perez. Leclerc still got a decent gap to Fernando Alonso. But is that Alonso getting a little bit closer to Charles Leclerc? No, it's still a 2-second gap then between Fernando Alonso and Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz still 5 seconds behind. Lewis Hamilton 6th. Stroll 7th. Russell 8th. Ocon 9th. Still hasn't stopped. Ocon is definitely going for the one-stop strategy. Hulkenberg also going for a one-stop strategy. But they are really, really starting to hold up now the likes of Lando Norris, Yuki Tsunoda, and Oscar Piastri. This strategy by Ocon and Hulkenberg is a great strategy. It is absolutely shafting. Absolutely shafting the likes of Norris, Tsunoda, and Piastri. This is exactly what Ocon wants to do, by the way, and Alpine. This is good for Alpine because this is going to give them some good chances to get some good points on the board. Because Alpine were staring down the barrel of losing out to McLaren. But I think with this now happening, there's no reason now why Alpine don't actually shithouse a good result ahead of the McLarens, despite the fact that McLaren have been better all weekend long. MF1 Racer, loving the stream, mate. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you saying that. That means a lot to me, man. Who will win the race, do you think? Do you know what? I think Perez has got this in the bag. I don't know, actually, right now, if Verstappen can do anything about Sergio Perez. Like, I really don't think he can. I think it's working out very, very nicely for the Red Bull of Sergio Perez, and he's actually going to close the gap a little bit in the championship to Max Verstappen. I don't think that means that Sergio Perez is on for a championship charge, don't get me wrong, but he's certainly doing a lot better than I at least thought he would in this race. So what did I say was my top 5 prediction for this race? It was Max Verstappen to win, Sergio Perez second. I think I said Leclerc in third, with Alonso fourth and Hamilton fifth. So right now, I'm not too far away from actually being where I wanted to be. We've got Perez and Verstappen the wrong way round. And we only have to have Hamilton overtake Carlos Sainz, and then maybe Alonso and Hamilton were the other way around. I can't really remember. But that was in my latest video, which if you haven't seen, I would highly recommend you go and check out. But yeah, that's what I think was my top 5. So I'm not too far away from getting the top 5 right, I guess. But yeah, let's see what's happening right now. There's still a long ways to go. What's Verstappen saying? Okay, that's interesting. So Verstappen saying that the difference between the diff and the engine braking is not good. So that could explain, I think, why we're maybe seeing Verstappen struggle a little bit more than usual. It might also explain some of the oversteer as Verstappen gets very close to the wall. Literally there, Verstappen within millimeters of hitting the wall there at turn 1. That is so close. Good by Verstappen, by the way, to be able to avoid the wall. That takes a lot of skill because he was oh so close there to just hitting the wall. Let's see then where each driver's faster. Verstappen's faster in a straight line, which makes sense because he's getting some of the slipstream. But through all the corners, Sergio Perez is faster than Verstappen, which I guess also makes sense because if Verstappen's struggling with the diff and the engine braking, then at least with the diff, that could explain a lot of the oversteer that is happening. So that's why Perez would be faster through the corners. That does make a lot of sense. That all makes a lot of sense. As Perez now sets a new fastest lap in this race. Alonso now is reeling in Charles Leclerc. Alonso now 1.4 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. That tells me then that we could be starting to see some tyre wear on the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. How far then is Leclerc ahead of Ocon? That's what, 25 seconds. Leclerc's almost got a pit stop to Ocon. Leclerc, I think, now needs to get a pit stop window to Esteban Ocon. And when he's got that pit stop window to Ocon, I think Ferrari need to bring in Charles Leclerc for another set of tyres. Because these tyres are, as we've seen, starting to wear out. And as we've seen so far this season, Ferrari is harder on its tyres than its rivals. And with them being harder on their tyres, Leclerc there getting very close to the wall. I think the tyres on the Ferrari is just starting to wear out. Carlos Sainz 7 seconds behind Fernando Alonso. So 8 seconds behind his teammate Charles Leclerc. And Fernando Alonso now mounting a charge on the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Are we going to see the superior tyre wear of Aston Martin coming into their own? And are we going to see them find a way past the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc? It's going to be very difficult for Alonso to actually overtake Charles Leclerc, I think, because Charles Leclerc is much faster in a straight line. But he is getting there. He is getting closer and closer to the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. And I'll tell you what, Lewis Hamilton, Lance Stroll and George Russell are all closing up also to the back of Carlos Sainz. I think Ferrari's tyres are just starting to wear out a little bit here. Yeah, there we go. Look at that then. Yeah, Fernando Alonso, quarter of a second faster. He's 1 second exactly behind Charles Leclerc right now. So he's not going to get the DRS, but he is getting closer and closer. And we could start to see then, maybe, just maybe, start to see Fernando Alonso find a way past Charles Leclerc. Here we go then. This is going to get very interesting. Here we go, team radio. So, team radio there for Leclerc saying that the tyre life on the hard is as expected. Does that mean they expected the tyre wear to be a little bit difficult? If they want to bring Leclerc in, they need to do it in the next few laps, I think, because let's take a look. What's the gap now between Leclerc and Esteban Ocon? It is what? 26, 36, 46. So it's almost 30 seconds. So right now, Leclerc has a very good gap to Esteban Ocon. So they could bring him in if they really wanted to. And I think we might see that happen at some point in this race within the next 5 laps. Ferrari potentially bring in Charles Leclerc. Unless he can open up the gap. And he has actually just opened up a huge gap there. That's 1.7 seconds. Where's that 0.7 come from? Let's take a look here at Max Verstappen. Verstappen almost in the wall there. A big kick of oversteer once again by Max Verstappen. And then he actually brushed the wall there. He did brush the wall there, did Max Verstappen, but it's not enough to do any damage really. But he did brush the wall ever so slightly, which is very interesting. We got Pierre Gasly here. Yeah, so here's the fight for last then between Pierre Gasly and Valtteri Bottas. What's happening here? Gasly's on fresh hard tyres versus Bottas, whose hard tyres is 19 laps old. So we're going to get a good indication now of what the difference is between fresher hard tyres and used hard tyres. Is Gasly going to fly past Bottas? Here we go. It looks like he's going to go for it down the inside. There's nothing Bottas can do. And for the first time in a very long time, we've seen an overtake, which is nice to see. So, yep, there we go. Through goes Gasly, past Bottas. Gasly's had a stinker of a weekend, hasn't he? He has had an absolutely disastrous weekend, has poor old Pierre Gasly. Things can only go up for Gasly next time out in Miami because, yeah, that was a bad weekend for him. Seb Vettel, don't say that. I want Ferrari to do well. I want Ferrari to do well as well. I do want Charles Leclerc to get a podium. Don't get me wrong. I really want to see Charles Leclerc get a podium. But we'll see what happens in these next 15 laps or so. But I think they should probably go for another pit stop. Although that being said now, Fernando Alonso 2 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. Where's that happened? How has that happened? Leclerc now opening up a 2-second gap to Fernando Alonso. Is Leclerc now opening up the pace a little bit? Or is Fernando Alonso just backing off and maybe trying to regen some of his battery? Was Alonso going for an attack on Leclerc and now maybe he's got to regen the battery a little bit, and that's why Leclerc has been able to open up the gap, and that is why we saw Alonso being all over the back of Charles Leclerc earlier and now we're not. That's quite interesting. That's interesting. That is very, very interesting. Yeah, so what is happening now then? What are we seeing? Are we seeing anything exciting? Anything in the field that's exciting? Sainz now 9 seconds behind Fernando Alonso, who's 2.3 seconds behind Leclerc. Carlos Sainz's pace has been absolutely abysmal. Like, his pace has been absolutely shocking as Carlos Sainz. Lewis Hamilton 1.2 behind Carlos Sainz. Lance Stroll 1.6 behind Lewis Hamilton. We got a replay here of Sergio Perez. What's about to happen? Sergio Perez hits the wall. Jesus, Sergio Perez, what are you doing, son? What are you doing, son? Don't hit the wall. You're leading the race. This is your chance to beat your teammate for once, and you hit the wall. And with that, Max Verstappen also sets the fastest lap of the race. Ay, ay, ay. What are you doing, Perez? Okay, I think maybe Leclerc was backing off there to maybe save the tyres a little bit, because he's now 2.6 seconds ahead of the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. So Alonso is maybe pushing, but I think Leclerc is pushing, and Red Bull are also pushing very, very hard. Because this is a proper fight between Perez and Verstappen. We're seeing mistakes by a lot of drivers. We've seen mistakes by Sergio Perez. We've seen Max Verstappen make mistakes. Team radio for Carlos Sainz. Very interesting. So, Ferrari is saying they are happy with the tyre life until the end of the race. So, I don't think we are going to see another pit stop then, guys. I think it is just going to be a one-stop race. That's going to be a bit disappointing, actually. We've got someone in the pits. That's Valtteri Bottas opting to box in. I'm assuming he's going to go on to what we got with 17 laps left. A set of mediums, maybe? Yep, on go the medium tyres for Valtteri Bottas. Not really much else he can do there. Bottas onto the mediums. That should take him until the end of this Grand Prix. We've currently got then, 17 laps left to go. Ferrari think the tyre wear should be okay. They don't think we should see any punctures, which is interesting. I think that's sort of why we did the two-stop last year, was more down to a fear of punctures. But I guess if they're pushing each other, and they are still going faster and faster, then they're not too worried about the tyre life this weekend. So maybe the new surface has contributed to a reduction in tyre wear between the two drivers. Right now, we've got Lewis Hamilton's within DRS. This is the exciting bit on circuit. Lewis Hamilton's within DRS of Carlos Sainz, but he's too far back to really be able to do anything. Yeah, and then behind them, there's just a train. We are stuck in a DRS train between Ocon, Hülkenberg, Norris, Tsunoda, and they can't really do anything, to be honest. So, yeah, just a few laps left to go in this race. I don't really know what else is going to happen. Definitely is a race that's sort of lost a lot of its intrigue now. Now that there's no interest from tyre wear anyway. We got Lewis Hamilton right now all over the back, at least, of Carlos Sainz. It's going to be interesting, at least, to maybe see what's going to happen between those guys. Hamilton's going to have to pass him on track. He's going to have to find a way. I think the best way for Hamilton to do it is maybe back off, save some battery, and then save it for an attack. Like, just you deploy the full battery, go for a big attack on Carlos Sainz, and that's probably going to be the only way we see Lewis Hamilton maybe find a way past Carlos Sainz in this race, because, yeah, there's not much you can do otherwise. The Ferrari is just a little bit too fast in a straight line, and, yeah, let's see what happens then. So Hamilton's going to get the DRS. He's still 8/10 behind Carlos Sainz, though. That's just too much. 8/10 of a second is too much. There's nothing Hamilton can do from an 8/10 gap. And that 100-meter reduction in DRS, I think it's maybe been a little bit too much this weekend, that 100 meters reduction, to be honest. He's getting closer, but look at that. He's still, what, 30 meters behind. There's nothing he can do, really. So Carlos Sainz is going to maintain 5th place, despite the fact he is quite a bit slower than Lewis Hamilton. But there's literally nothing Hamilton can do. He's got the DRS. He's getting closer and closer. But he's still too far back to be able to try a dive bomb there down the inside on Carlos Sainz. So, yeah. As we're seeing here, a battle on F1 TV. I don't think you're seeing it on the Sky broadcast. Between Kevin Magnussen and Alex Albon. Kevin Magnussen. Yeah, they've cut away from it because there's nothing much you can really do either. yeah, there's not much happening. We got a Zhou Guanyu team radio. So Zhou Guanyu is boxed to retire. So that's the end of the race for Zhou Guanyu. Unfortunately, Zhou's race is run with, what, 15 laps left to go. So, yeah, unfortunate there for Zhou. But, yeah, there wasn't really much they could do there. 3 seconds is the gap now between Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen, which tells me that, yeah, that's done. That's done. That is game over between Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Unless Verstappen's really backing off and trying to save something, which I don't think he is. Hamilton's still within 0.8 of a second of Sainz. Again, it's not enough down this pit straight to be able to do anything. So it's just stuck. The drivers are all just stuck. Like, yeah. I don't know what they've changed with the rules this year. I don't know what it is. The rules that have changed for this year to try and reduce downforce or whatever, with increasing the height of the Venturi panels. That has, I think, made overtaking a lot harder this year. And also, obviously, with them reducing the DRS zones. I was all for them reducing the DRS zones, I've got to be honest, because I thought overtaking last year was a little bit too easy. But because it's a little bit harder for the cars to follow this year, with them reducing the DRS zones, we're seeing now, yeah, maybe too few overtakes. Mercedes, then it looks like, are considering a pit stop. And I'm assuming that's going to be for George Russell. Like, surely that's going to be for George Russell that they are considering a pit stop. But George Russell is only 16 seconds ahead of Esteban Ocon. And I don't think that's going to be enough for George Russell to get ahead of Esteban Ocon. I think he's going to come out in that train between Tsunoda, Norris, Hülkenberg, Ocon, and Ocon. So surely they're not going to actually pit George Russell. Or are they maybe doing it as like a kidology for Lewis Hamilton? I don't really know. But if they do that, what's the point in them pitting? It's a little bit too late now with only 14 laps left to go in this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Here's Pierre Gasly then getting up to the back of Logan Sargent. So we're going to get to see some overtakes at least in this race. As Pierre Gasly on the fresher, harder compound tyres is closing up to the back of Logan Sargent. His tyre life is half the tyre life of Sargent, so we should see Gasly find it quite easy, but he makes a mistake there, and that's going to allow Sargent to just open up the gap on the exit of the corner. We're seeing so many mistakes here today. And look at that. Look at the porpoising, by the way, on the Alpine. With the bouncing there for Pierre Gasly. That is not a fun ride. And that's the first time we've really seen porpoising. I think I remember mentioning it on Friday during qualifying, that the Alpine was porpoising more than their rivals. Because we hadn't really seen it at all this year until the Alpine started porpoising. And it still seems to be the case this weekend that the Alpine is suffering with some porpoising. But can Gasly now find a way past Logan Sargent? He's getting closer and closer. Is he going to go for a move down the inside maybe, or is he too far back? Yeah, it's too far back this time. Sorry for David Crofting the commentary there by getting hyped for something that was never going to happen. The gap now between Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen is 3.5 seconds. Sergio Perez has got it covered, by the way, guys. Sergio Perez has got Max Verstappen absolutely covered this weekend. Great race by Sergio Perez, and I think with that, Checo could very well win this race. Like, he has won this race. It's game, set, and match. Sergio Perez, by the way, deserves to win this race. I know he got to first because of the safety car, and it was bad timing for Verstappen, but Perez has had incredible pace here today. So Sergio Perez, the rightful winner, I think, is best to say, of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. There's nothing that can really be done by Max Verstappen in these closing phases of the Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso can't do anything about Charles Leclerc, so the top four is as good as settled. The only thing I think that we may see happen between the top 10 right now is Lewis Hamilton finding a way past Carlos Sainz. Other than that, though, yeah, there's not much else really that we're going to see happen on track, I don't think, between the top 8 drivers. But Lewis Hamilton needs to keep it clean if he's to find a way past the Ferrari there of Carlos Sainz. So let's see then. Is Hamilton going to be able to stick with the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz through this section? And if he does, if he can stick with him at this gap right now, which is about 4-5 tenths of a second, if he can stick at that gap, then we might actually see Lewis Hamilton find a way past Carlos Sainz. He needs to get a good exit from turn 16. And if he can get a good exit, then we might very well see Lewis Hamilton find a way past the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. This has been the best opportunity Lewis Hamilton has had all race long at finding a way past Carlos Sainz. Is he going to be able to do it now? He's getting closer and closer. He's going to get the DRS, of course. And with the DRS, here we go. He's getting closer now. Opens the DRS. Is Hamilton going to find a way past? Sainz is too far back to really do anything there. But if he gets a good exit from here, maybe into turn 3, he can find a way through. He just needs to get at a good exit from turn 2 now. He gets an alright exit, but it's half a second. Yeah, I think half a second's just a little bit too much for Lewis Hamilton. The straight's not long enough, unfortunately, for Hamilton. Sainz looks to go defensive, but goes back to the racing line. Sells him a bit of a dummy. But yeah, there we go. Lewis Hamilton able to maintain position there. Carlos Sainz able to maintain position and keep 5th place in this Grand Prix. This is, yeah. Jolyon Palmer on F1 TV has just said that this is painful to watch. And do you know what? I fully agree. Said Vettel, this race has been dull. Yes. The race has not been the most interesting Grand Prix in the world. It's had a lot of intrigue. That's been a big issue, I think, with all the races so far this year. We've had a lot of races where it's been a case of it has the potential to be great. We saw it in Bahrain. There was a potential for a great race in Bahrain, and it all fell apart. We had potential for a great race in Saudi Arabia, and the first part of the race was excellent, and then the second half was completely boring. In Australia, the first part of the race was great, and then the second part of the race was boring, and it's been the case again this year. Like, the first part of all these races have been alright, but the second half of the races have just been a little bit too boring, in my opinion. I'm hoping we can sort of see something more exciting in Miami, but with it being Miami, I'm not exactly holding out any hopes. Anyway, here's Lewis Hamilton once again. Hamilton is getting closer to the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. Is he going to be close enough? No, but he is getting closer and closer and closer and closer. Maybe, just maybe, we could see something then with the with the Mercedes Lewis Hamilton in these closing, These closing 10 laps of the race. We could see something else. Pierre Gasly now finding a way. Pierre Gasly's not found a way past Logan Sargent, which I find astounding, by the way. Logan Sargent doing a very good job then, holding up the back of Pierre Gasly. But here we go with Gasly. He's getting closer and closer. He's going to get the DRS. And why are we cutting away to Verstappen? Has Verstappen hit the wall again? No, but he was very close to it once again. Verstappen brushing the wall. What about turn 4? Wow. Millimeter perfect by Max Verstappen there against the walls. Max Verstappen, if he was just a millimeter or two a little bit further over, that would have been game over for Max Verstappen. So Verstappen is really pushing it. He's getting close to the wall. He's trying so hard to find a way through, but he managed to just avoid the wall. He's really pushing his Verstappen, but he hasn't got an answer for the pace of Sergio Perez here today. And let's see what's happening between Hamilton and Carlos Sainz. It looks like Hamilton is now a little bit too far back. So, yeah, maybe he was pushing just a little bit too hard. And now, yeah, it's game over. What about Sainz and Sargent at least? Carlos Sainz is Pierre Gasly is half a second behind Logan Sargent. So it's going to be interesting to see if with the DRS, he's going to be able to find a way now through past Logan Sargent. Let's see here then. He's in the slipstream. He's getting closer and closer. On the, I'm looking at this on the live time. You guys can't really see it on the track map. Gasly's getting closer. Gasly's getting closer. Is he going to go down the inside? Can he make it stick on Logan Sargent? Pierre Gasly down the inside. Through he goes. Past Logan Sargent. And he's finally done it. Pierre Gasly finds a way past the Williams there of Logan Sargent. Nice little overtake. Would have been nice if we could actually see it on TV. But hey, at least we've seen it on the track map. What's Hülkenberg done there? Hülkenberg with a huge snap of oversteer almost in the wall. Nico Hülkenberg and Esteban Ocon are still yet to box in this race. 9 laps left to go in this race. And they haven't stopped. There we go. We see Pierre Gasly went right around the outside there of Logan Sargent. Good move there by Pierre Gasly to get past Logan Sargent. And, oh, that's interesting. We've just seen a fastest lap of the race for Charles Leclerc. So Charles Leclerc has maybe just been saving tyres. And Leclerc with the fastest lap of the race, showing that he still has performance left. So Hamilton, they're asking if they could maybe give him a little bit more power in this race because he has been, well, yeah, he's not got enough at this current rate. So they're looking to see if they can maybe use a little bit more energy deployment and use full battery and full beans to maybe try and find a way past the Ferrari there of Carlos Sainz. As we see Lando Norris all over the back of Nico Hülkenberg. Surely Ocon and Hülkenberg right now are going to box and put on the soft compound tyres. There's no reason for them to to really be staying out any longer. There's 8 laps left to go. Maybe they're waiting for like a red flag or something like that because otherwise there's not really any reason for them to stay out because they've done the whole race on these hard compound tyres. Which is, yeah, very similar to like what we saw with Alex Albon last year at Australia. And we haven't seen them struggling with tyre wear, getting a puncture. We're certainly seeing that Ocon and Hülkenberg have very slow pace. So they're definitely waiting for a red flag because otherwise they are not going to score any points here today because that's all I can imagine. That is all I can imagine. Is anything else happening in this race? Where's Lewis Hamilton? He's 8 tenths behind Carlos Sainz. Yeah, not really much else to do, guys. I'm very surprised that these hard tyres have held on like they have because in the sprint race, the medium tyres didn't have much life. In the main Grand Prix at the opening phase, the medium tyres didn't have much life, but the hard compound tyres have just had incredible lifespan, which I find very, very surprising. As we see now, Lando Norris getting up to the back of Nico Hülkenberg, but still can't find a way past him. Hülkenberg and Ocon have been on those tyres since the start of the race, and yet they're still able to hold off Lando Norris. That's insane. That's insane. The soft tyres had very little tyre life as we saw in the sprint race. The medium tyres at the start of the Grand Prix had very little tyre life. But these hard compound tyres have been absolutely unbelievable in terms of tyre life. They have so much tyre life that, yeah, there's been no reason for anyone to actually two-stop. I thought it was going to be a slam dunk two-stop earlier in the race, but yeah, these hard tyres have just had so much life that there's been no point for anyone to do a two-stop. As Lando has finally found a way past the Haas of Nico Hülkenberg, and we didn't see it. Thank you guys so much for that. But I assume there was a mistake from Hülkenberg because Norris passed him in a not usual overtaking zone, which you would normally only really see if the driver made a mistake. So let's take a look now in the replay. What happened with Hülkenberg? Hülkenberg got a snap of oversteer at the exit, and Lando Norris was able to find a way down the inside, and through goes Norris past Hülkenberg. So yeah, I think he just made a mistake. He went in too deep there, and then on the exit of the next corner he got a bad exit, and through goes Lando Norris. Yeah, he's going to feel a bit crap about that because now he's under threat then from the AlphaTauri of Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda's going to go through, is he? No, he's not. Is Tsunoda going to get another P11? Is Tsunoda really going to get another 11th place finish? That's so sad. He's got so many 11th place finishes. It looks like he's going to get another one here today. Yeah, Mercedes, it looks like have changed their mind on a potential pit stop, so yeah, there's no point bringing him in. There's only a few laps left to go, so yeah, that's what I think is going to happen then. Anything? Yeah, there's really not much for us to talk about going on in the rest of this race now. I appreciate everyone who has dropped a like on this live stream. I really appreciate it. Sadly, it's not been the most exciting race. It started off all right. It had good potential in the middle part of the race, but yeah, I think with there being very little tyre wear, there's not been much to really talk about. So I appreciate all you guys, and I hope you have enjoyed this race. We're about to see Yuki Tsunoda, I think, find a way finally past Nico Hülkenberg. Here we go then. Here we go. Down the back straight. Is he going to get past him? Hülkenberg. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Hülkenberg knows it's game over. Through goes Tsunoda past Nico Hülkenberg. Nothing the Hulk can do. Tsunoda takes the position, and that is Tsunoda up to his favourite finishing position, which is P11. Oh, actually, he's going to be P10 because Ocon hasn't stopped yet. I forgot about that. So with Ocon not stopping yet, Tsunoda is going to finish P10. So he is going to score a point. It's not going to be another P11 finish for Tsunoda. He's actually going to score a point. And he's just taken a purple sector 3. Jesus Christ, where did that come from? Yep, Lewis Hamilton still behind Carlos Sainz. The clouds are coming over. But, yeah, I don't think we're going to see any rain before the end of this race. There's literally only, 4 laps left to go in this race. So, yeah, there's not going to be much that we don't see before the end of this race. I hope next week in Miami we get one of those famous Miami thunderstorms during the race. Because if we get a Miami thunderstorm during the race, we might actually get a bit more excitement. Because yeah, if this is what the tyre wear's like in Baku, then Miami, which I think had quite low tyre wear last year, could be even worse. So yeah, let's see what happens. Here we go then. Here's the McLaren of Oscar Piastri against Hülkenberg. I think they're gonna bring in Nico Hülkenberg. I think they're gonna be insane to keep him out. Nope, they're keeping him out once again. So is Piastri then gonna find a way past Nico Hülkenberg? Yep, through past the inside to go. I think Hülkenberg's tyres have just dropped off the cliff of grip. And with them dropping off the cliff, that is pretty much that for Nico Hülkenberg in this race. Ocon, though, Ocon's actually got a decent gap to Norris. I don't know where that's come from, but Ocon's managed to actually open up a bit of a gap to Lando Norris, which is very, very surprising given how used and worn out the tyres are for Esteban Ocon at this point, as Max Verstappen sets another fastest lap in this race. Fernando Alonso now sets the fastest lap. So we're now starting to see the drivers push the cars a little bit harder at the end of this race. They've definitely got some pace left that they're hiding. Because we are starting to see a few fastest laps coming now. As we get towards the back end of the race. So it looks like... Yeah, are we going to see anything else? Are we going to see anything else? Please? Hulkenberg's really struggling. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 1 there. What was that for? Yellow flag, Sector 1. That was a brief yellow flag. I think that must have been for George Russell, I assume. Because George Russell has dropped off from the back of Lance Stroll by quite a little bit. So I'm going to assume that was George Russell maybe making a mistake going into Turn 1. And that's why we saw a yellow flag briefly. As a Williams now flies past Nico Hulkenberg. So at least we're getting some on-track overtaking, but it is just down to the fact that Hulkenberg's tyres have run out and Magnussen down the inside with a beautiful dive bomb on his teammate. Yeah, Hulkenberg's tyres are absolutely shot at this point. Let's see it. George Russell, I think, made a mistake, and we're about to see it on the replay. Yeah, straight on there at Turn 1. That's what caused the yellow flag. Poor old George there went a little bit too deep into Turn 1, but thankfully, because no one's really close behind him, it didn't really matter all that much. So, I just want to say, guys, if you are enjoying the video, I would greatly appreciate it if you do hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. I will be producing a preview and predictions video for the Miami Grand Prix, which is the next race. And that will be my next video. And hopefully Miami can be a better race than this one has. We've got a pit stop here. I think that's going to be Mercedes bringing in George Russell for maybe a set of soft tyres to go for a fastest lap in this Grand Prix. May as well do it. They've got nothing else to lose because I think Ocon's going to be boxing in this lap as well. So with that, he should be ahead of the McLaren of Lando Norris. Not the fastest stop there by the Mercedes, but it really, really doesn't matter because Ocon's surely going to have to come into the pits as well. It doesn't matter. George Russell's out ahead of Esteban Ocon, who still hasn't stopped. I'm assuming then they're going to box him next lap then. So anyway, as I was saying, yeah, so video plan for the next week. We are going to be doing preview and predictions for the Miami Grand Prix. That's going to be live either on Monday or Tuesday. I haven't really decided yet. It depends when I get it finished because I've got a lot of stuff to do. Yeah, so we've got a lot of preview and predictions to do. So that's going to be for the Miami Grand Prix. And then when we get to the weekend, we are, of course, going to be doing, as usual, data analysis, easy for me to say, from what we learn in practice and also what we learn in qualifying. So stick around for that. Not sure I'm going to be streaming next week. It's all a matter of how I'm feeling because I am ill at the minute. And I'm not going to lie, it has been a bit of a struggle to get through this race. Not only because it's not been the most interesting race in the world, but also because, yeah, my throat is killing me because talking for 2 hours straight is not the easiest, especially when you're a little bit ill. But yeah, we're going to try and do that. So yeah, preview and predictions and then data analysis for practice and also for qualifying. I don't think we're going to do a data analysis for this Grand Prix because, well, it's very boring and there's not really much to analyze, to be honest, because this race has not been the best race in the world. So yeah, that's what we've got coming up, guys. So yeah, as I said before, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe for more F1 content and hit the like button if you haven't already. As Esteban Ocon comes into the pits and Jesus. Well, that was almost dangerous there with Esteban Ocon with cameramen trying to just get in the way. As Sergio Perez puts us out of our misery And Sergio Perez wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix from Max Verstappen in second place. Charles Leclerc finishes in third. Fernando Alonso gets within 1 second of Charles Leclerc, but it's not enough as Charles Leclerc finally finishes on the podium this season with a third place finish for Leclerc. Fernando Alonso comes home in fourth, and then Carlos Sainz, it looks like, a million miles behind, but he finishes in fifth place with Lewis Hamilton in sixth place. Lance Stroll finishes in seventh place. George Russell in eighth. Lando Norris finishes in ninth. And Yuki Tsunoda gets a point, a much needed point. And that is going to round out the top 10 for this race. Yeah, Perez today just had a great race. Like, there was nothing else I think that Verstappen could have done today. Perez with great pace. Perez earned that race. Like, he earned that victory today. What do you guys think then? So what did you guys think of the race? Did you enjoy the race? Because I thought it had potential. Parts of the race were good, but yeah, quite a lot of other parts of the race were not very good, in my opinion. Overtaking this year has been very difficult, and I think that difficulty in overtaking has made a lot of races a lot worse this year. I'm not sure what we're going to see next time out in Miami. Hopefully we get something, but yeah, I hope it's a little bit better than what we saw today. Hopefully maybe, we see a little bit of tire wear, something. Maybe we see some rain from Miami, because of course, in Miami, rain can just come out of nowhere. Hopefully we get some of that because, yeah, if not, then, yeah, it's not going to be the best race next time out either. Verstappen there for once, I say for once, yeah, not being too upset with the fact that Perez won the race, which is nice to see. He was at least very happy with the fact that Perez, look, he won the race, he earned that victory. Verstappen couldn't do anything about Sergio Perez there, so yeah, good victory for Perez. He's now, I think I saw somewhere, he's now tied with victories with Charles Leclerc, which is absolutely insane given all of the pole positions that Charles Leclerc has. Leclerc's pole to win conversion is absolutely terrible. But I think that's just down to Ferrari not being very good on the race car, but having a very good qualifying car. Great win then for Sergio Perez. And guys, I am going to head out now because, yeah, I'm done. I'm going to go now, have some dinner, and then make a start probably tonight on preview and predictions. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. And if you did, I really appreciate you guys sticking around for the stream. But yeah, I'm going to head out now, go have some dinner, have some much needed food, and then chill for a little bit because my voice really needs to chill. So, hope you enjoyed the stream, guys. Thank you all for watching. Bye.